Welcome to the Calm Your Nervous System podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Adams, somatic ADHD business coach, and this is a space for you if you're a sensitive, neurodivergent, heart-led business owner who wants success without burning yourself out. Here we blend nervous system regulation with trauma-informed business strategy so you can increase your impact in a way that actually feels safe, sustainable, and aligned. You'll hear practical tools, honest behind-the-scenes conversations, mindset shifts, and a good sprinkle of spiritual woo, all designed to help you put your body first, trust yourself again, and create more ease, energy, and abundance in your life and business. I'm so glad you're here. Let's go calm your nervous system. So welcome back to the Calm Your Nervous System podcast. And this week, I'm really excited to sit down with one of my previous clients, Chapman of Rhizo Home. And we are going to be talking all things energy, Feng Shui, decluttering, and being a bit more mindful with our space. And Anna is a Feng Shui practitioner, and she's also a late diagnosed ADHD. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to having a chat with you, and especially with how your work intersects with neurodiversity and supporting neurodiverse women. So thank you, first of all, for coming on the podcast, Anna. I'm excited to have this chat. First question I think we should get into really is, what is Feng Shui?
Hi, Jenny. Thank you so much for having me. I think Feng Shui is often described as being like a mirror to you, like as if your home is a mirror to you and your space reflects who you are. And that is definitely true. But I see Feng Shui as working through the relationship you have with yourself. So of course, we have like general principles. We think of creating space for energy to flow, opening up space, letting the chi flow, decluttering and minimalism, like those kind of terms come to mind when you maybe think of Feng Shui, or maybe certain symbols or mirrors and things like that. And those are really powerful, but it is essentially to use your home to balance your own energy. So there will be principles that are general and things that are very specific to you and your elements, your 5 elements and your personality and your energy. So it's about tuning your space to balance your own well-being.
Okay. And I mean, you're kind of preaching to the choir here, because I understand a little bit about Feng Shui. I have used it myself I've done one room in our house, and I've Feng Shuied my office in the new year as well, which I've noticed some changes. But for anyone listening that is probably an overwhelmed neurodivergent woman with 100 spilling plates already, is this just another set of rules to follow, and what are the 5 elements and chi, and oh god, is this just another system of something I have to try and get my head around? Why do you specifically work with neurodivergent women, and what does it help us with?
All very, very good questions. So that's, I think, why I was drawn to it, because it's I think neurodivergent brains are often attracted to systems, astrology, human design, things like that, because they're systems that aren't rigid. They're absolutely interpreted and subjected to you and your of whatever is going on for you. So it really is something that meets you where you are, and you just have a starting point and you come and go for it and you develop, and it's a practice that works with you. And especially the way I work is not rules based. Yeah, we'll have principles that make sense for everyone. Like if you're eating healthily, you'll eat fruit and vegetables. For everyone, they'll have a specific diet that's for them and that will make them feel better. So I think that's why I really like it as a neurodiverse woman. Is it's not this or that, black or white. It's nuanced, and it's about cycles and rhythms rather than, superstition, do this or this will happen. It's really about your own contribution and relationship to the practice. And you can do that as radically or as gently as you like. And that's really, where I started was when I was ill, when I had sort of my health breakdown. was doing feng shui in my house, changing things around my room, sort of just for fun. That gave me a bit of a sense of, oh, I can actually do more than I think, and I have this ability to change my environment. And so, whatever kind of state of overwhelm you might be in, it's a really beautiful, nourishing way to show you that you do have that power. And then to also just let like the energetics do the work rather than sort of having to force yourself to do things. It's working in harmony with your space so that it can support you back. And so, yeah, it's really quite a gentle practice like that.
Okay. And you mentioned there about a bit of a health breakdown, and what I'm picking up on here is almost like the autonomy of not being able to do much, but still having some control within your environment. And apart from maybe your environment just looking nicer and being a bit tidier, what differences did you start to notice, especially when you were in that place of being quite ill?
Mm. Yeah, so I think I see it as sort of maybe, yeah, three layers. There's those principles that just work, clearing space, lets the energy flow, a decluttered, a clean space makes you feel good. It affects our unconscious. And then there's just the simple fact of, oh, I can do this in my space. I have control. This is my domain, and what I say goes, rather than feeling like a victim to what's happening around you. And then there's the layer of that sort of deeper matching your energy with your space, which then, and using your home as a sort of diagnostic tool to see where you are. And that's obviously always changing. And so it's a sort of practice that doesn't stop and start. For me, it's just throughout your life, your home evolves just as you evolve. So yeah, I mean, in the early stages, it was little things. It was like, oh, that gives me a sense of joy when I walk in the room, or there's less resistance when I'm getting ready because I have half the amount of clothes, or things that are just easier. And then it's just different for everyone. Everyone will have their certain sort of quality of what some people might be really drawn to, symbolism or working with color, or really be on a decluttering mission. So yeah, for me, it was just that enjoyment, coming from an art background, doing sculpture. It was like, this is a way to sort of do sculpture, but have it affect my well-being and create the space that I want for myself.
And I think that's a really important point there for so many neurodivergent women. Often what comes with that territory is being highly sensitive. And also, I feel, because I have done this myself, the subtle changes in the energy within your space, as you mentioned, there's something different in the autonomy of where you're placing things, and having, like you say, a bit of that system. For me, like, I've not been one of those people that has liked cleaning. I know some people will regulate themselves or distract themselves by cleaning. I am not one of those people. I hate it. Hate tidying, hate cleaning. If someone else can do it, then please do. But then things get overwhelming, that, you've got piles and piles of clothes, and, the floor drobe, the stuff that just doesn't get put away, and the dining table with just piles on it. But what I have specifically noticed going through a Feng Shui system is being a lot more intentional, not just putting things somewhere because there's space, but actually having a bit more purpose. And like an example yesterday, so in my office, I've got a little corner over here, which I can't remember which way it faces. It's the money corner. So I've got some citrine, I've got a money tree, I've got a fake $100 bill, and I've got some little like gratitude things. So like if I get a new client or if I get a gift or something, I will say, thank you for this. So that's my little like growing some abundance corner. But also on the floor in that corner, since January, I've tidied my whole office, and then stuff just got dumped on the floor, and you're like, I will deal with that later. And then like 5 months later, do you deal with it? It was a whole load of like old computer mouses and keyboards and things that's just been sat on the floor. I got rid of that. I went and took it to one of these like exchange shops. And since clearing that, one, I got money for getting rid of it, from selling it. And then two, I've received 2 new clients overnight. Now, is that a coincidence? Or is that because of where that
Mm.
specifically that pile of crap was dumped in my office.
Yeah, I think well, you're already very switched on to all of this, and you understand sort of the laws of magnetics and energetics, and that's it. We are simply part of nature, so the rules that apply to nature apply to us. And I think sometimes we forget that. So everything grows and everything decays and it grows, and so if you want to bring in new things, you let go of those old things. And um, I mean, the Bagua map, the map of where your life areas are, rings very true to me. I think as you've seen it in action, and so you get it. Um, but regardless of where it is, those things that we have, whether they're in the back of our mind or we don't even know they're lingering, having a drain on our energy and our unconscious, whether we know and it's niggling or even if we've forgotten, all of that is stagnant energy that is not allowing, new things to come in. So that is, an ongoing process, and it is difficult sometimes, especially, when you're neurodivergent and you do have those piles coming up. And, well done for getting rid of those. And, you had all those wins as a result.
Have to get the evidence sometimes to be like, is this
Yes.
working? Is this just an energy
Yes.
thing? But like when I first feng shuied my office and I made my little like money corner, I think within like 3 or 4 days, I was also doing the practices that I talk about in Rewire to Receive. I think both
Mm-hmm.
of those together, within a few days, I'd received a £4,000 gift. Like,
Amazing.
coincidence? Or is that me shifting my subconscious patterning and energy and also the external energy in my space? And that's just a wonderful marriage for lovely things to come to you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's it. Is some of it is not graspable to us. We want to rationalize and always say like this happened because of this, this, and this. But I think for me, it's all one kind of energy puzzle, and moving those pieces helps things to
Mm,
better.
mm. And interesting, you said something about almost something has to die before something else can be born. I can't remember the words that you said in there, but
Mm.
within like the five elements system, can you share a little bit more about how that works with different things kind of feeding into each other and what that looks like in
Mm.
our homes?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any visuals here, but I can give you a quick pit stop of the five elements because that's like really my passion. Um, so it's a cycle of five elements, and we might say that it's. I'll try to show with my hand. It might say it starts with water, sort of source of life. So water being reflective, our emotions, our dreams, alone, and then we move into from the water. The mold grows the wood. So that's the sprouts, the green growth, springtime, ideas, innovation. I think an area where a lot of neurodivergent creativity lies, and the next project, and the next project. And then we come into fire at the top, which is sort of like the peak manifestation, where we've got the passion, the drive, social things. And then we, as the sun, sorry, as the fire turns into the ash, which is then the earth element, grounding, family, is sort of sustenance, things like that. And then in the earth, we condense down to metal. So then, like the minerals in the earth will condense down into metal. Metal being sort of time boundaries, judgment, but not necessarily in a negative way. Clean lines, that's where sort of the minimalist aesthetic would live, in the metal elements. And then from the metal, we condense back into water. And then sort of the growth cycle continues. So yeah, each element has its own dynamic, its own season, its own energy, its own colors, symbolism. And so yeah, that can be something you can interpret for not only yourself and your home, but for creative work you're doing. That each part of a creative project would sort of go through that cycle as well.
So
And
presumably
then,
then
yeah.
you need like a balanced home. So you've kind of got a bit of
Yeah.
all of those elements, or should any kind of be louder than others, or?
Yeah, well, that's where the beauty of it comes in, because it's to do with what elements we are predominantly.
Mm.
So we'll all have a couple of elements usually that we're predominant in. And so we'll often see that in someone's house. So we just very obviously someone with a strong wood element may have a lot of plants in their house, or growing a lot of babies. And baby plants. And so you always want to just think, where are things in balance? Where are they out of balance? And that's the beauty of it. It sort of all intersect. Those certain elements will support other elements, certain will limit, will drain. And so it's kind of this dance between the elements of what do I need now in this phase of my life, and how can I incorporate those design elements in my house to balance me at this stage.
And presumably, if you've got multiple people in a house, I'm just thinking because me and my husband, who's a Qigong practitioner, so I've heard about the 5 elements and that sort of thing from him, which is fascinating. And we did an elements quiz last year, and we've always said me and him we're very different people, but opposites attract, and we balance each other out. And I think I was mostly fire and wood, and he was mostly water and metal. So like complete opposites when you look at the personality traits. I'm the kind of like out there, extroverted, go on an adventure, fuck it kind of person. And then he's much more like the boundaried minimalism. I need a structure. In my head, it's almost like I'm much more the ADHD, he's much more the autistic kind of traits. We've both got a bit of both. But yeah, just looking at him wanting to like get rid of everything and make everything super minimal. And I laugh when you say about the plants, because the amount of plants I've had to get rid of over the last few years, because they're just everywhere. I'm like, oh, I'll get a new plant, and people buy me plants, and then the house has turned into a jungle. So yeah, how do you balance out different people's elements, and like maybe I need more of something and he needs more of something else?
Yeah, I absolutely feel you on that. I'm in a very similar situation with a minimalist leaning partner. But I think it's about having those conversations. And once you understand your elements, then you can see that it's not one or the other. It's how do we integrate these, and like in a relationship, compromise. And someone, it maybe have one space that leans towards one of you, and the other space that it leans towards the other. Um, and yeah, I really like working with couples and looking at their elements and how to design a home around them. But I think, as you said, opposites attract, and having those differences and contrasts really helps us both. If we're in that situation. And maybe that might cause a bit of friction. So, I'm not getting rid of my plants, or like the frustration, but that is part of life, isn't it? Is living with the different dynamics that we all have, and just being aware of them, and respecting them in our different ways. Yeah.
Yeah, we're having an argument at the moment about lighting, because we have a weird shaped lounge with like a basement stairs that goes down behind our sofa, and it's like, where do we put the sofa where it's like not, there's a big gap behind you, but it's not face, or the back is to the door. And then we're like, where do we put lights? So when I had this Philips Hue system in, so like we can change the lights, because I'm really sensitive to lights. And if we've got all of the downlighters on, especially in winter, my brain's like, oh, it's the middle of the day when it's 10 o'clock and time to go to bed. He will just get rid of lamps, and I'm like, no, they're not right, they're too bright, they're not in the right place. And we're constantly having this like back and forth over. He then goes and puts all my lamps downstairs and gets rid of them, and then puts like
Hilarious.
one yeah. I came home from Australia last year. He like sold the TV, like reorganized a whole load of stuff, and I'm just like, okay, this is what he does. He gets rid of things. But yeah, the
I
light.
do the same when my partner goes away. I rearrange the whole house. Yeah, I think lighting, is a particular sensory issue. And, we say not the big light, never the big light. So always lots of lamps and different options. And I think that's important for you. You need to bring those lamps back.
Oh
Take them
yeah, I
back
did
in.
last night.
Yeah, good.
He's bought himself an extra one, so he feels better that he's now got his own Philips Hue table lamp as part of the system. Um, they're expensive lamps, but they're really good because you can adjust the kind of light that comes out of them and how bright it is. So in the evening, like you can have red lights. We've got a little kind of enclosed fireplace with a cat bed in. No fire, obviously. So that's nice to have a couple of lamps in there, and like that's our which corner? That's the I can't remember which way it faces, but it's the red element. It's next to the money corner.
Oh,
South
fire. And
facing, I
so
think.
fame and recognition in the middle, and top middle.
I think so.
Hmm.
Yeah, this is me trying to remember the Bagua map. So for someone that has never heard of like the Bagua map, what is it? Can you just briefly touch on what the different parts of it are and why they're important?
I can, although you kind of need to see it, how it's laid out. But it's essentially a map that was used, in ancient China to not only organize a home but construct buildings and face them in the right direction. So I don't use compass method. I use the front door approach, so that everything is basically laid out from the front door. So you have 3 squares by 3 squares, and they represent different areas of life. So for me, the front door is always on the bottom, one of the bottom 3 squares of this grid. Um, so it's a little bit, they're very much based on the elements in that, you have the gentler moving up to fire at the back. So sort of that like manifestation ascension to the back of the house where everything kind of peaks. Um, So, I mean, everyone's always interested in the money corner, which is the top left. Um, and yeah, money abundance, whatever that means to you. But I would definitely say that sometimes the issue is not kind of where you think it is. I do see it very holistically, obviously. So, I mean, I can run through each area, but you may have a blockage in money because of your relationship to yourself. So actually looking at that area is more important. And I think, kind of sometimes people are looking a little bit for quick fixes, and they'll be like, what do I do here to, and it's really, let's look at the whole picture. It is a very holistic practice like that. So I mean, I still very much use it sometimes when I want a quick boost to use that map. But yeah, it's looking within each section. So yeah, I mean, the front door is often in our career area or our path in life. So that's a good reason to, polish your front door, keep your hallway tidy, and all of that.
Mm. Mine's full of plants. Surprise,
Mm.
surprise.
Yeah,
But I think when I did mine, I did use the compass because
yeah,
we have a weird ground floor flat with like half a basement. So I was like, I don't know how I'm going to fit this onto a map.
yeah.
Does it
So if you're
matter?
working on different floors, it's basically it ascends vertically, and then if you have, so that's what we would do in a session. It'd be like overlay your space with a bagua and see, because no one's house is perfectly square, obviously. So we just we don't make it fit, but we can see where those areas that are kind of coming off it, and what does that mean? Usually it's like an excess of that area, but then you need to kind of balance that internally by doing something in another corner to bring it all together.
Okay, okay. And how do you feel that this practice has helped you as someone who is neurodivergent as well? As a practitioner, uh, teaching it, supporting people, but actually, how have you used it yourself?
Mm. I think I'm to the stage where I don't even realize I'm using it because I'm just doing it or reflecting on all the time when it's for myself. And we spoke a bit about just the sort of the energetics of just, the well-being of making the space feel good to you, whatever that means. And it's, yes, the lens through which I view everything. And I think that cyclical nature helps me a lot, particularly as a woman. We're very cyclical. Well, all people are, and like with neurodivergence, and you'll find yourself in very different states. And so when I get to those states, often if I look around my home, like, oh, like, yeah, I can see that. Let's, rather than try to fix myself, I can go to the environment and do that, and it's something very tangible. And so that's very grounding for me. And And then that gives me the momentum to then maybe do something myself or look at another area. And it's that thing of like, it evolves with you, that every positive change you make, then you're like, oh well, I can do this and I can do this. And so that is very encouraging to me. And it's always that tool that I have, even if I'm overwhelmed or overtired, and do something in my home, even if it's a small thing. Yeah, like polishing mirrors or something, and that lets me, because then you see that you're rewarded by that with dopamine every time you then see it again. So that's always nice. And yeah, it's really that sense of grounding, I think, because I'm often in my head, lots of ideas, and I've done a lot of well-being practices, and I love a lot of well-being practices, but it can also be quite abstract. And, I do a lot of body work. I had acupuncture yesterday and it's amazing. But if your environment is not also supporting that, then it's hard to sustain, because our environment is really feeding us with messages so continuously. Yeah, so it's the support. It see it as part of the well-being. It's not about aesthetics, and it's not something that you wait to do until you've moved house, you've got more money, because it's so important to daily life.
And I love this like holistic, almost living, breathing interaction, and the kind of seasonality that, we are constantly interacting with our spaces. So why do we wait to have like a spring clean instead of actually, just being a lot more intentional with things? And one thing I picked up on in what you were just saying as well is often the motivation, because I think when we're neurodivergent, especially if we are already neurodivergent wellbeing practitioners, we probably know a lot of stuff. We know what we should be doing. I'm a nervous system expert. I still get dysregulated all the time. Sometimes you can be sat in that, freeze state. You should be doing something. Your brain's just too noisy. And often what is needed is just a little something of, let me do something in my environment. And once you kind of get up and you start going, the internal starts to shift then. Because I know everyone says, oh, you shouldn't change the external. The external is just a reflection of what's going on internally. But sometimes when you are in that paralyzed, I can't get off the sofa, I can't do anything, I'm useless. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Blah, 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 blah. Maybe to just go, you know what? I tidied that little corner. Like I got rid of my pile of crap that's been on the floor for like 5 months yesterday. It wasn't much. I was going to put it on eBay, and then I was just like, oh, I can't be bothered. It's too much effort. Let me just take it down to the shop in the high street where, yeah, you don't get much for it, but it gets it out of my way and I got some money for it. It's just taking those like little actions, and that then got me outside. That then put some money in my bank account. That's something to pass on to somebody else. And when you were saying as well about you came to this practice when you were unwell, I had a similar-ish experience, but mine was with makeup. So when I was really sick and just felt like I couldn't do anything, I could watch YouTube tutorials of how to do makeup. And that was kind of my hyper focus at the time. Didn't realize I had ADHD, but actually having the control of being able to do something, and something that makes you feel better. So for me, it was like, I feel like shit, but I look good.
Yeah.
And I think even if it's okay, I feel like shit, but my environment looks nicer, I've tidied, and that will just naturally make you feel better. And like you're not completely wasting away, useless, can't do anything. It's like, oh, I do have some control. I do have some autonomy. So yeah, I love that it can be a practice for that, for anyone who does have a chronic illness or has ADHD, autism, overwhelmed, highly sensitive. And whilst we're on the topic as well around neurodiversity, how have you found your late diagnosis? What's that meant for you as a person with regards to like your identity and picking up this new information?
I think it's definitely ongoing. I don't have a conclusion. It still feels quite new to me, only being in the last few years. Um, but it is a bit like puzzle pieces fitting together in terms of that self confidence and that understanding. And I think, of it is changing your environment, not needing to change yourself. I think, if you're undiagnosed woman, you've been battling for many years and you're trying to kind of fit yourself into a model, even if you don't realize it. That's what sort of the environment is asking of you. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about helping neurodiverse women, is that for me, what's behind this work is it's, rather than needing to change yourself, it's um, being in the environments that support you, or adapting those environments, and fully accepting who you are. Um, and yeah, so that's that kind of my ongoing journey with it. Um, and from a sensory point of view, I trying to understand that sensitivity as a strength. So many of us are very creative, and we see a lot of things and we connect a lot of things, and I really want to celebrate and support that, um, because we're amazing. And maybe we haven't had those environments that have shown that back to us. So yeah, your home is a nice place to start with that.
Mm.
And I think community is extremely important. Being now part of that sort of neurodiverse community helps a lot. And I think that's been like one of the most interesting things, is once you can understand yourself, you can also learn so much from people's experience.
Yeah.
Support each other.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And I love that approach as well, with not necessarily needing to change yourself. It doesn't sound like it's necessarily changing your environment, but what I'm hearing is almost like I've had to be a different version and fit into environments my entire life. How about the environment is made for me?
Mm.
And like, I mean, we can call neurodiversity a strength all day long. I love talking about it. It technically is a disability. And when I was in a wheelchair, the amount of spaces and places I would go into, and I would just think, no one's thought through this. Maybe for an ambulant disabled person, even for someone in a wheelchair or a scooter, like the spaces just haven't been thought through. And then you have to always adapt. So to actually be able to flip that around and say, well, what works for me and my body and my brain in my environment? Where am I most at ease? Which is what you should be when you're at home, right? Is
Absolutely.
relaxed, regulated,
Yeah.
not like, I've got stuff everywhere. Oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed. Should be that
Yeah.
like sanctuary to go to.
Yeah.
So,
I think a lot of times when people think about their home and how it looks, can be sort of be shame around looks, or that I can't have people over because it looks like this. But it is most important how it feels to you. It's your home. But also, when you can design it with intention, with your energy in mind, you can sort of let go of all of those trends and how it should look, and it will end up being beautiful, and it will be beautiful to you. It will come from a different place that's kind of a lot more embodied than is how it should look.
yeah. And you talk a lot about like embracing your chaos and turning that into
Mm.
creativity. So is that a little bit around what that looks like? Is creating that environment that fits you, not for just aesthetics?
Yeah, definitely. What is supportive is different for each of us, and we all have different levels of stimulation tolerance. For some people, a very minimalist grey white room is actually intimidating and cold. For someone else, it's calming. And so that's a big part of intentional design for your home, is working on what you want, how you see this. Where do you feel most at home? What space do you want to create? Yeah.
Yeah. And that can look different for for everybody, not the same
Absolutely.
grey, boring. Well, I like colour. I'm more of a maximalist.
I can see that. I love your Technicolor
Yeah,
Dreamcoat
as you
jacket.
can
It's
see.
gorgeous. Yes.
Yeah, it was one of the first. Well, it took me 4 months actually when we moved into our flat last year. The lounge was grey and it was going into winter, and I was just like, it's so fucking depressing. We need to get rid of this grey.
Mm,
So the week between Christmas
yeah.
and New Year, I was like, get rid of it. And now we've got like a nice like sage colour in there and a
Mm,
Feng Shui'd it, and that just completely changed the whole feel of that space
mm,
and brightened it
yeah.
up as well. It's
Color
amazing.
is so important. It's really got its own vibration. I think grey is the only color that sort of doesn't is so flat, doesn't really have its own energetic
It's not
vibration.
even a colour, it's a shade, which is like, ew. But why is everything grey?
Yeah. Hopefully we're moving out of that sort of noughties, minimal grey, 50
Yeah.
shades of grey interiors. So yeah.
Yeah. But I do see things going extreme in like, well, I'm probably the other end of the extreme, the maximalism, bright colours, pink, sparkly, everything. And then there's like, yeah, the grey minimalism. But yeah, that just to me feels clinical and uncomfortable. But equally, some people like that. So yeah, each
I think
each
that's
to their own.
each to their own. Yeah. I think that's important. I want to like demystify that about feng shui because I think that's what comes to mind. It's sort of, bamboo plants and I don't know, Buddha statues and an empty space. And if a plush, pink velvet sofa and Art Deco vibe is your vibe, then that's what's going to be best for your energy. And you just need to bring in the balance.
Yeah, and we've still got some of that maximalism in there, but it's been done more intentionally. It's not me just like throwing everything everywhere, which
Mm,
was kind
mm,
of my approach previously. But it's really
mm,
nice to actually have that intentional system from someone who is creative. And I've done a course in interior design, and we well, I basically completely overhauled, redid our previous home that we then put on Airbnb. So we've got, the staircase was yellow and blue, and we had like jungle wallpaper all up the walls. It was an Edwardian home. It was pretty OTT.
Sounds gorgeous.
But yeah,
Sounds
my husband's
gorgeous.
like, you're not doing that again in the new place. We need to be a bit more compromising. So we have. I haven't gone completely crazy in our new place yet.
I'm sure it's beautiful.
There's some nice pillows with patterns on. That gives me enough. And talking about business as well and your diagnosis, how do you feel having this new understanding, whether you want to call it a diagnosis or not, but how do you feel you do business differently now you have a better understanding of yourself? And like you said before, it will always be a lesson, like we're always learning new things about ourselves. But yeah, how do you show up in business now?
I was never really interested in business. It's never been my strong point. So I've definitely needed a lot of help. And so, yeah, you've been a big help for me, particularly in understanding, fluctuating health and physical, so just that acceptance and the rhythm of working through that, because you don't have very many models, especially if you've been ill for a long time and, everyone's out there kind of girl bossing it and you're like, what the fuck? Where do I start? What do I do? And so there's so many layers of that. And I'm sure you relate, running your own business is like the biggest self-development project you'll ever have. And it
Yes.
just keeps bringing things up. And so, yeah, I think understanding that I need, want, and deserve support has been one of the biggest impacts. Um, so, yeah, through coaching and having an assistant and facing myself and just realizing that, for the flip side of my sensitivity and creativity and ability to help you, there's also the other side, which requires the care, facing, and very much you're still a work in progress. I can see it now in a different way. And yeah, trying to understand, and practice what I preach, that, the alignment and how we feel is ultimately the main, yeah, root of everything. That's where everything comes from. So without that, nothing is going.
Mm. What I'm really hearing in that is a huge amount of self-compassion in the you deserve support. And we fluctuate. And yeah, like you say, it can be easy to see people on Instagram and podcasts and things, only putting out the best version, the very tailored version of, I've got all my shit together. It's like no one does. But we don't always like sharing the vulnerable, icky meltdowns and the what the hell am I doing? And those tough times. And if we don't see them, we're like, is it just me? Am I going crazy? No, 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 you're not. Like we all go through these different phases, throw in hormones, either menstrual cycle, perimenopause, menopause, that, and a neurospicy brain. Like we are not going to be the same every day, but so many business models just expect us to be on all the time, be as productive on this day as you were on that day. And I think this is the beauty of running your own business with the understanding a bit more about who you are and how you work is the choice to be able to say, well, I know that that's my luteal week, so I'm not going to put so much extroverty stuff in that week, or maybe I'll have a little bit more downtime, or I'm doing a talk I think next weekend at a retreat. I know that is going to be me coming up to ovulation. So great, go out, be seen. That's, a really good time to do those sorts of things. Whereas I think in corporate, it can feel a little bit stifled or like you have to be doing X, Y, and Z. And I guess for anyone listening, the permission to be compassionate with yourself and know that you're not doing anything wrong, that we are cyclical beings. We're not expected to be the same every day. And I think with the work that you do as well, anything we can do to help our energy and our environment when we are already quite sensitive to energy is certainly going to help us be the most, not even productive, creative, enjoy life.
Yeah. And I have to also thank you for being like a real model of that. That's really helpful for me to see you, running a successful business as you are. And thank you for that.
Thank you. And obviously it's been an honor working with you and supporting you. And I love learning about like what you do and the sheer creativity of so many of the clients I work with. And also I have to celebrate you because I was looking through the details of the podcast recording this morning and I saw one of your links in there and I was like, she's got her website up. Well done.
I do. Thank you so much.
Yeah, what can you tell us a bit more about your website and what got it live?
I mean, I something that's been in the back burner for, I'll be honest, many years. And I needed to get to a point. I don't know, maybe it was a limiting block I had with myself or something. And I wouldn't say the stars aligned, but it was a combination of, support, people helping me out and sort of just saying, enough's enough. I need to be present and I need to be able to help people and I need to be visible and, no more hiding was a big thing. So yeah, I did it. And really, it's just, it's nice to be able to have a space to be able to tell people what I'm doing and for them to get a taste of it. I think, it's like I'm on the internet, so that's useful.
How did it feel to actually see it live?
I think I'd seen, you see it in the WordPress dashboard for so many months. There's not a huge distinction, but I think it definitely brought everything together. It made everything feel more solid and just allows people to see me. So that's nice.
Good. Yeah. I mean, it looks amazing. And I think I've said to you before, like if you go on my website, it's being redone at the moment and like links are broken. People will often email me and say, this isn't working. Can you get back to me on this? And how often can we get stuck in if it's not perfect, then it must be a pile of shit. And it's like, actually, is it good enough? Is it putting enough information across. Can people contact me? It doesn't have to be perfect. And obviously, if
No.
we're changing things a lot, new offers, that sort of thing, we're going to be updating things. So
Mm.
yeah, well done for getting it out there. And another thing I've really noticed in you is this, you seem to be getting a bit more comfortable with being more visible. Like I've seen you showing up online on Instagram a lot more, and putting some offers out there and things. And it's great to see. How's that process been for you, actually saying, okay, now's the time to put myself out there, even though maybe it's scary?
Mm. I mean, I think, I do believe that the things you're most scared of or that holding you back are the biggest growth is. Um, it's something that I kind of enjoy. Like, there's is a fun element to it, but there was something maybe holding me back. But I think in some ways having the website allows me to do that because it just creates a structure for me. But yeah, I think it's partly the community of particularly women. When we're talking about living a different model to the kind of maybe corporate 9 to 5 or something that's not cyclical. I'm so like encouraged by the wave of like, women in wellness, creativity, business, doing things their own way. And, that's always an inspiration. So I think, and the neurodiverse community and sort of seeing myself as part of that and not needing to be, a professional expert. Um, so yeah, I think it's nice to feel part of that space, and just see what everyone else is doing as well. Maybe,
Mm,
work together with people. I think, it can be very isolating running a business on your own. So the more we can connect to each other, the better. And, a lot about that and, co-regulation and everything. So I think that's really a nice place to be.
amazing. Thank you. And talking of which, I know you do your wonderful dance and declutters. So can you tell us a little bit more about what that is and any
Mm.
other interesting things you've got going on, how people might be able to work with you?
So the Dance Declutter is a monthly online gathering for women, neurodiverse friendly, of course. And we put on some good music and we declutter together in sort of a body doubling space. And it's really fun. And the idea is that you can just sort of turn up, do it, and then get on with your day. It's trying to make decluttering light and easy and a collective experience rather than this overwhelming task. Yeah, I'm really loving doing that. So that if you get on my newsletter, you can hear about the next ones. Early June is the next one. Um, and yeah, so you asked me about any other projects. So I am launching a group for women to explore themselves through their home. So what has come up is that we work so well together, and it's a really nice way for people to get a taste of using feng shui for their space, also do it alongside other women. So that will be starting the 14th of June. And it's called Come Home because it's really going to be centered on building that self and that feeling of ease and being at home within ourselves and using our space as a starting point and exploring that. So you can get on the wait list on the website for that or via the newsletter sign up as well. So I think doors open on the 21st of May.
Okay.
There's only about 6 spots as well. So yeah, do just, even if you're not sure, but you want to get on the wait list.
Amazing. That sounds like a lovely experience, and especially with a group of women doing it, that it's not just you doing it on your own and then having to hold yourself accountable and, oh wait, whoops, I forgot to do that. So I assume you'll be doing like weekly or fortnightly or
Yeah,
regular.
so everyone will actually have a one-to-one session with me as well. And then we'll have weekly group calls, and then there's a workshop, and then sort of a community space where we can share doing and chat about it during the months.
Okay. Okay. And who's it for? Like, who would be an ideal person that would be like, oh my God, yes, I need this. Here's where I'm at right now.
So, I mean, initially I was like just women who are going through changes because, late diagnosis, you really have to adjust your identity, and there's a level of instability there. And also, menopause, and things are changing, and in the world things are changing so fast. I sense that there can be, not only overwhelm but that sense of powerlessness. And so it's for anyone who's feeling like, I just want that steadiness in myself while I'm going through these changes, or I'm just curious to see how my home can support me. So yeah, it's women only. Obviously, you have a chat with me and see if it'd be a good fit for you, but yeah.
Okay, amazing. And I assume because a lot of people will say, it sounds great, but I'm really overwhelmed at the moment. Is it going to help with their overwhelm if they are generally quite busy people, spinning a lot of plates? Will this help them?
I mean, I would say I hope so, because I didn't want to create a course with lots of work. I wanted something to be really a very grounding, calming space. So we'll do a meditation each session, and I'll send meditations out. But it's working with the space that you have. So you bring kind of what's going on with you each week, and we look at it, and obviously I bring in the principles of Feng Shui. We'll look at the five elements and the Bagua, but you take what you want from it. So, if you are very overwhelmed, you could use the entire space to just work through that layer by layer.
Mm.
There's no demands of you to complete things or listen to things. It's you take what you want from it, and hopefully that will really help you feel supported and a little bit more feel.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the word that was coming to me. It sounds really supportive, not just another like system you need to learn and a whole list of stuff. It sounds like a really supportive and fun experience. So obviously I'll share things below in the show notes, but where can people find you if they are looking for more info?
Thank you. So on the website, Rhizo Home, which is Rhizo Home, HOME, and then on Instagram at Rhizo Home. And yeah, do feel free to send me an email or message me if you've got any, even if it's a feng shui question. I'm happy to answer that as well.
Yeah, you'll get a million from me now. Like, what plant should I have here? Well, this plant base is downward. Should it be in this area? Won't bombard
Go
you
with
with
your
all of
gut.
those.
Don't overthink it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing your wisdom with everybody. And if there was maybe one last little thing to leave somebody with, like where would you start with Feng Shui, taking back a little bit of control over your space? What is like one small action that someone who's listening could take today?
I love that. I'm gonna do a two-parter. So one is a bit deeper in that, really take the time to ask yourself, what do you want, and what do you want your life to look like? And be really honest with yourself about that, and don't hold back, because that's the starting point, you know. And then you can work around that, and it may take time, but you have a map. The other thing would be to just clean your front door, because we've got all that energy coming in, and give it a good clean, brush your house door, even if it's a communal space. It's always nice to start at the front, and then every time you come home, you also have that feeling that it's bright for you,
Okay,
welcoming
amazing.
in new opportunities.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm off home to clean my front door. But thank you for those tips, and they sound simple, small, and intentional as well. And I think that's from everything I have known about you from the work we've done together, that is what you're all about. So this doesn't need to be like big and complicated or anything like that. It's simple, it's supportive. So yeah, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's been amazing to see how much you have blossomed over the last few months as well, and getting your business out there and the offers out there and everything. So well done. Well done for the work you've
So
done when
much.
I know things haven't been comfortable as well. Well done for regulating yourself through the discomfort and, you know, showing your nervous system that you didn't die when you did the scary thing.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, thank you so
Thank you
much.
for your support. It's been a real pleasure.
Yeah, well, you're totally welcome. It's been so much fun. So yeah, you guys have got the show notes. Links are in there. Thank you for coming on, and I will speak to you all in the next episode. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here and listening to this episode. If something landed for you, I'd massively appreciate you leaving a 5-star review or share this episode with someone who would really benefit from it. Your support helps this podcast reach more sensitive neurodivergent business owners who are ready to do things differently and increase your impact, with more regulation, more ease, and less burnout. I appreciate you being here, and I'll see you in the next episode.